Hi everyone, Darth Corny here again, and today I'm reviewing Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. As I said in my last review, where I've reviewed the first Star Wars, I'm going to review every Star Wars movie in the next couple of weeks because of the recent release of Force Awakens. Now, Empire Strikes Back, I recently saw the original cut of this, and luckily this movie didn't have as much special edition edits. There are two, not as much as the last one, I will point them out, but luckily not as much of a change. Once again, it's a spoiler review. I'm going to talk in depth about this movie, so if you haven't seen it, switch off now. Spoiler alert. Alright, here we go. In the opening crawl, we learned that the Empire came back stronger after destroying the Death Star, and that Luke is now leading the rebels, which is a very nice character arc for Luke, as in the last movie, like I said, in the last review, he was dreaming of becoming something bigger, and now he is becoming something bigger than he was before on Tatooine, which is very nice for him. Anyway, we see the Empire searching with probe droids. One crashes on Hoth. Luke sees the one, but he gets taken out by Wampa. Then in the meantime, Han says he needs to leave because he needs to pay off Jabba, but Leia wants him to stay. And even though she doesn't admit it, she wants him to stay because she has feelings for him. Oh yes, we know.
Come on.
You're imagining things.
Am I? Then why are you following me?
After this, Han finds out that Luke hasn't returned yet, so Han goes after him in the blizzard, which is very nice that Han does that, because in the last movie he didn't like Luke that much. And now they are very good friends, up to the point that Han is willing to risk his life for Luke. That is quite impressive for Han. Very good character arc. Yeah, very nice.
Then I'll see you in hell.
And then we see Luke in the Wampa cave. He tries to get out, so he has to force pull his lightsaber. And he does at one point, which is very nice that he actually uses the Force right now. Anyway, Luke gets out of the cave, falls down, and at one point the ghost of Ben comes to him to tell him about his former master Yoda. And this is one reveal which is kind of ruined by the prequels. At this point, the audience didn't know who Yoda was back then. So it was kind of like, oh, Yoda, that's interesting character. I want to see him later on. I'm curious who he could be. So if you see the prequels, you've seen him in all 3 films, which is, I crap on the prequels later. Anyway, Han then fights Luke and cuts open the Tauntaun to keep Luke warm. Mind you, this was the only time ever until Force Awakens that a non-Force user used a lightsaber in a Star Wars movie. Han makes a settlement, and the next morning the rebels find them. Luke restores, and then we have a scene that is a little bit weird after Return of the Jedi. Leia and Han are talking, it's funny, and then after, Leia kisses Luke. In the original script, it wasn't meant to be that Leia was Luke's sister. However, they changed it up last minute while making Return of the Jedi, so after Return of the Jedi, it's weird to see this scene. But originally, it wasn't meant to be this weird, so I don't have a problem with this scene at this point. Again, this reveal also was ruined by the prequels, but as I said, I'll crap on those later. So then the rebels find out there's an Imperial probe droid and that the Empire will come look for them, so they have to evacuate.
We better start the evacuation.
So then we first cut to the Empire in this movie, and personally for me, we get introduced to the best theme in cinema history, the Imperial March. Wow, that track is so awesome. Also, we see the new Super Star Destroyer, which is a whole lot bigger than the rest, and now is Vader's flagship. That one's also amazing. Anyway, the Empire confirms they found the rebels and they go.
Set your course for the Hoth system.
Then we cut back to the rebels, and at this point Luke is saying goodbye to Han and Chewie because he thinks he's not gonna see them for a while. So we then see Luke not really talk as much to Han as they just look at each other. And this is actually a very nice scene because they are friends and they look at each other like, I'm gonna miss you, man, you're my friend now. Which is very nice. And then after this scene we get introduced to a sphere where Vader is in. Explanation of the sphere is later. At this point he hears that his admiral made a mistake, so then he chokes him.
You have failed me for the last time, Admiral.
This is just one of a few that he's going to choke in this movie, and it's funny as hell that he just chokes everyone who's standing in his way. Because it's actually kind of a character arc for Vader, that at this point he has given up being nice and he just wants to get Luke and the rebels. So he does not care for anyone that stands in his way, so he kills them. He also promotes Piet, who is going to be the admiral from then on.
You are in command now, Admiral Piet.
And then we finally get ready for the battle that is going to come, the Battle of Hoth. This is probably my most favorite battle of the franchise for a number of reasons. First off, the bad guys actually win. Like, no other battle has been won in this entire franchise by the bad guys except for this one. Then another reason is the AT-ATs, the walkers. They are just huge, menacing. I mean, just look. It also had a lot of suspense, like a lot of rebels actually die, Luke gets into trouble, and then just finally the way it's shot entirely, the way it looks, like once again, made in 1980, but if you would tell me that it was made today, I would believe it as well, because it just holds up so incredible. And also in this scene, they redeemed Wedge. Like, in the last movie, he was flying with Luke at the Death Star, and he just kind of chickened out, which was weird. I don't know exactly what happened. Anyway, he is right now the only one that actually takes out a walker. So yeah, they redeemed him, and that probably led to his promotion in the next movie to Red 1. That's nice. So like I said, the rebels get defeated, Luke goes to Dagobah, and the Millennium Falcon is being chased by the Empire. Then we get an epic asteroid scene where the Falcon is going through an asteroid field to get rid of the Empire. And it's just a great scene. It has the intensity, is once again incredibly shot, and it has a great score. After this scene, I realized that the title of this movie is probably the best title ever given to a movie. The Empire did strike back. That's the entire point of the movie. Like, this is a movie that shows that the bad guys can win sometimes. And when a movie does that, especially back then, they show some balls by just telling the audience, okay, not everything's all good and fun and happy things. No, it can be kind of shit sometimes, and this shows it, which is great. I love that. Anyway, the Falcon gets away, hides on a big asteroid, and we cut to Dagobah, where we see Luke crashing into Dagobah. Dagobah is revealed to be a swamp planet, and his X-Wing is stuck. So R2 and Luke get out. R2 gets into the swamp, almost gets eaten by a monster, but the monster spits him out. And this is where I have an issue with the special edition. In the original cut, Luke says to R2, after he finds him being spit out by the monster, Luke says to R2, "You're lucky you don't taste very good." In the special edition, they changed that to this.
You were lucky to get out of there.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, his lips don't make the same movement, and in all honesty, the old one is more accurate. So it doesn't make any sense that you would change it. Like, Lucas, once again, retard. Then we cut to the Empire, and we see a small scene in the sphere where we see Vader without his mask. This is the entire reason for that sphere, so Vader can be there without his mask. And we see a little glimpse of the back of his head, where, if you've not seen the prequels, you get a sense that he is an actual character and things have happened to him, which is interesting because at this point, if you still haven't seen the prequels, you don't know what happened to him, and that makes you curious to who he is. Very interesting, very good scene. Then we get a quick cutscene to the Falcon where Han says something to 3PO and 3PO doesn't get his sarcasm. That's kind of funny. After that, the ship shakes that badly that Leia literally falls into Han's arms. Which is, I think, the movie saying, at this point, Leia has fallen in love with Han. It's great. Anyway, we cut back to Luke on Dagobah, and he and R2 have set up a camp, and they meet a little green character. This guy. Now, he doesn't know at this point who he is. And it's funny that it is revealed to be Yoda later. The reason Yoda does this is because Yoda wants to see what kind of person Luke is. Yoda is just acting to be a strange old hermit, and Luke reacts to that, and Yoda just wants to see how he reacts. And Yoda does not like it that much. We'll get that later. We cut to the Falcon, and we get Han and Leia's first kiss. Everything about this romance is done well. Han plays it well, Leia plays it well, it's funny, it's real, you feel it's real, and the music that helps the love story is amazing.
Nice man.
Very nice.
Then we cut to the Empire again, and this is the first time we see the Emperor. There is revealed to be an old guy that is actually somebody who is bigger than Darth Vader, which is very nice. This is one special edition edit that I will say I like, because in the original cut they had an actor who was different than the actor from the next movie, and they put in the head of the actor of Return of the Jedi who plays the Emperor in Return of the Jedi.
What is thy bidding, my master?
I don't exactly know why they changed actors, but this is nice that they did that. Anyway, we switch back to Dagobah, and now Luke finally finds out that he's been with Yoda all this time. Yoda, at that point, is very reluctant because he has been testing Luke, and he doesn't like him that much. He thinks he's not ready for it. However, Ben convinces him, and Luke gets trained by Yoda. Finally. Then we get back to the Falcon, and it is revealed to be inside a big monster, so they have to get out of there. We then cut back to Dagobah. Now Luke has begun training with Yoda. And what is very interesting about this, that the training, instead of the prequels, never uses a lightsaber. Yoda never teaches Luke the art of fighting with a lightsaber. Rather, he teaches him to be a good person, to be conditionally and mentally fit, and to use the Force. That take on the Force is just in any way better than anything in the prequels. This is something I love so much about this movie, to make the Force very mystical but somehow also connecting to the audience, like I can almost feel something. And after they've trained, Yoda says, okay, it's enough for today, and Luke goes into a cave. To this day, I'm still curious what would have happened if Luke had not taken his weapons into it. What would happen? He would face Darth Vader in there. But mind you, Luke is the first to ignite his lightsaber. If he had not done that, what would have happened between the two? That's interesting. Anyway, what it does represent is who Luke is. He makes a mistake, and then he sees himself in Darth Vader's helmet. And that is possibly, at this point, what his future might be. Interesting scene. Again, ruined by the prequels. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But at this point, if you saw this for the first time after Star Wars, this was a very interesting scene. We then cut back to the Empire, and we get introduced to a very underused character, Boba Fett. Now, a lot of people, including myself, find him a very interesting looking character. Like, a lot of people want to see more of him. However, he's not used that much in this movie, and he's killed off in the next movie very fast. Luckily, there is going to be an anthology movie of him in 2020, so we get to see his character more. Here's my second special edition edit that I have an issue with. They changed the voice of Boba Fett to the one of Temuera Morrison, because in the prequels he's revealed to be a clone of Jango, which is played by Temuera Morrison. However, in the original cut of this movie, Boba Fett had two actors playing him. One was the voice actor and the other was the actor in the suit. That means that the voice actor for this character will be forgotten forever because of the fact that they changed his voice. I mean, Lucas, you're just a dick now. You're just a dick to the guy who actually made the effort of speaking his voice. Anyway, the Empire then finds the Falcon, they chase him, and the Falcon makes a brilliant move by putting themselves on the back of a Star Destroyer. Great move, Han. After this, we cut back to Dagobah, and this is my favorite scene of all time in a Star Wars movie. Luke is training with Yoda, and at one point his X-Wing sinks so far that Luke thinks he can't get it out. However, Yoda convinces him, you should get it out, so Luke tries.
No. Try not. Do. Or do not. There is no try.
Ah, yes. Thank you, Yoda. That's exactly what I meant. Actually, at first, he manages to get a bit out, and Yoda is like, what? Is this actually happening? But no, Luke fails. He's not strong enough. Then Luke says, it's too big. Yoda?
Size matters not. Look at me. Judge me by my size, do you? And where you should not. For my ally is the Force. And a powerful ally it is. Life creates it. Makes it grow. Its energy surrounds us. And binds us. Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. You must feel the Force around you. Here, between you, me, the tree, the rock, everywhere. Yes, even between the land and the ship.
This scene gave me at least, and probably also the audience that is watching, a connection to the Force. Like, at this point, I understand how the Force works. I understand what I could feel if I want to feel the Force. At least, like, I felt something at that point, and I really, really love the fact that a movie that is about Force and fantasy, and it's not true at all, can make me feel such a thing. I absolutely love that. We're not done yet. Because after this, Luke says, you want the impossible. He walks away. And Yoda's like, okay, I'm gonna get it out and I'm gonna show this little whining kid that it is possible. So Yoda, this little green character, stands there with his fingers out. And with his fingers, he gets the entire X-Wing out of the swamp onto the land. Luke is like, what? Luke comes at him, I don't believe it. And Yoda just...
That is why you fail.
Wow, what a scene. Yoda's such a badass. He's my second favorite character of the entire thing. Anyway, we then cut back to the Empire and Vader once again kills off a character that is incompetent. And then he switches again to Piet, who has now seen 2 officers die in front of him, and Vader says,
Don't fail me again, Admiral.
now Piet just knows he can't up anymore. You see in his face he's pretty scared at this point. Anyway, we see the Falcon on the back of the Star Destroyer, and the Falcon crew has now grown tired of 3PO.
The Empire may be gracious enough.
Thank you.
Great humor. 3PO is such a great character. And then Han offers an option to go to his old friend Lando, where they go. However, they are being followed by Boba Fett. You know something bad is going to happen. Also, his ship looks friggin' cool, dude. Anyway, we get to the last training session with Luke. And Luke now has such a connection to the Force that he can actually see the future. And he sees his friends being tortured, being mistreated. At that point, he has to choose between his friends or continue his training. And just this one look that he makes just tells you, like, he is struggling, but you know he's going to choose his friends. We then see Cloud City, which is a city in the clouds that looks just great. And we see Lando.
How you doing, you old pirate? So good to see you. I never thought I'd get to see you again.
Well, he seems very friendly.
This is a character, after this movie, you're not sure what to think about him. But initially, he looks like a fun, good character. So, yeah, let's go with that for now. and 3PO gets shot, and Chewbacca goes after 3PO because... we'll get to that later. As said, Luke chooses to go after his friends, and Ben now shows up as his ghost form. So Ben and Yoda tell him, you should not go. You should complete the training and you should face Vader later. Luke is just a little bit stubborn. That is his character. We know that. It may be a little bit of a fallback, but it's like understandable. He is someone who really cares about his friends and who cares about doing the right thing. And he thinks this is the right thing.
That's why I have to go.
So I understand why he does this. Chewie then finds 3PO in a junk pile, and he wants to fix him. However, before he can, they get invited to dinner by Lando. And there we find out that Lando has sold them out to Darth Vader. This is why we don't know what to feel about Lando. But probably just Vader forced Lando to be a dick, because otherwise he would choke Lando, and Lando doesn't like to have that, I think. Anyway, then Chewie does get to fix 3PO, and we figure out that 3PO was shot by a stormtrooper, which means 3PO was onto something, so he didn't get the chance to help his friends out before. Too bad. Then Vader starts to torture Han, and this is probably what Luke saw in his vision. Like, Han is being tortured, and Vader knew that that was going to work to make sure that Luke comes over there. Smart move, Vader. Then it appears that there is a carbon freezing chamber where they can freeze humans into carbonite. Vader wants to freeze Luke, however they don't know if the facility might kill him, so they test on Han Solo. And then we get probably the most brilliant line from Harrison Ford ever in a movie. Right before Han is lowered into the carbonite, Leia says to him, I love you. And in the original script, it was said that Han would say back, I love you too. However, the actor Harrison Ford realized this is a line that Han Solo would never say, so he said,
I know.
Just brilliant. Han still gets frozen, he survives it, they give him to Boba Fett, and Boba Fett will take him to Jabba, which is the first act for the next movie. And then they form a group of Imperials with Leia and Chewie, and they just walk around the city to be a trap for Luke, because Luke has now arrived. Luke falls for it, and then Vader and Luke get the showdown. This is yet again an amazing lightsaber fight. Not just because of the fact that it's better choreographed. It's a little bit better than the last one, but like Luke is younger than Ben, so he is probably able to fight a little bit better. And like at the beginning you see that Vader is basically toying with Luke. Vader is in control. However, at one point Vader realizes that Luke is actually stronger than Vader thought he would be. So at one point Vader just loses it and quite quickly ends it by cutting off Luke's hand. Luke has no lightsaber, has no hand, is at his most vulnerable, and we get probably the biggest reveal in cinema history. Please forget the prequels. This is the biggest reveal in cinema history.
No, I am your father.
At this point I was like, what? Holy crap, he is his father. Like, oh my god, come on, I'm crying because of this. It's incredible. Holy shit. I cannot believe this. It's like incredible to this day. Like, I'm now thinking about this scene and it's just so incredible. It was this big of a reveal. Everyone was like, holy crap, what the hell? Then Luke chooses not to be a part of this and he just drops. He doesn't know if he's gonna survive, but he thinks this is the most desperate thing that could possibly happen, so he just chooses not to do that. He doesn't want to be partners with Vader, so he just drops. And luckily he survives. He actually manages to clamp onto something and hang there. In the meantime, Lando actually chooses to do the right thing and help them out, so they try to escape. They go to the Falcon, they pick up R2 on the way, and the Falcon goes away. And at this point, Luke is still hanging there and calls out to Leia.
Hear me. Leia.
And they sense each other in the Force. Again, if the original script that Luke was not Leia's brother was handled, then it would be very interesting to see why Leia could hear him, if she may be a Force user or something. It's interesting to think about those things. Anyway, the Falcon picks up Luke and they fly away, And this entire movie we've seen a lot of issues with the hyperdrive of the Falcon, and it is revealed to be a simple issue that R2 can fix. However, remember, they did not have R2 in the entire movie, so they never could have fixed it. So they go away. And then the first one we see after they get away is Piet. Piet is like... Piet at this point knows he may have f***ed up and Vader may kill him. But for some reason, probably some human character in Vader said, no, I'm not gonna kill this guy right now. But I don't know. It's just a guess. And then the ending of Empire Strikes Back is the only open ending up until Force Awakens. Lando and Chewie go find Han, and Leia and Luke stay behind. And at this point you didn't know what was going to happen, but back then you had to wait 3 years for the conclusion, so people were like on the fence about what to think about this movie because they didn't know what was going to happen. They were like, I want to see what's going to happen. But the movie ends, and if you see it in the trilogy, it's the perfect ending to set up the third movie, which is, yeah, just awesome. So that's The Empire Strikes Back, and unlike Star Wars, I don't have a single flaw with this one, except for the special editions. This is my favorite movie of all time. That has been established once again by reviewing this movie right now. I figured out some things that I did not know yet, even though I've seen it probably like 100 times already. I still find out things that are like hidden messages. It's just incredible. So I have to give this movie a rating. I want to give it like higher than a 10 because it's better than that. However, I cannot rate any higher than a 10 on IMDb. So I give this movie a perfect 10. So, what did you think of this movie? Did you love it as much as I did? Or did you have some issues with it? Like, I have some nitpicks with it, but they don't take away from my enjoyment of the movie. So let me know in the comments below what you thought. If you like this video and want to see more of my reviews, please subscribe to my channel. I will review the other Star Wars movies, and after that more just movies. So yeah, that's it. Bye.